Welcome to the second video blog for the Wrestling Roundtable. We just got back from TNA LockDown in beautiful, luxurious North Philadelphia, and my wallet, no, I'm kidding. Wallet's still here, and thankfully we're still here in one piece. So what do you think, Chris?
I definitely thought Hard Justice was a better show overall, but the cage match concept was pretty cool, even though they didn't explain the rules to most of those matches to us in the arena. And I was very disappointed with Foley winning the title, but Lashley coming in was cool, and the X Division matches were cool, the women's matches, and Lethal Lockdown was pretty good. It was a good show overall. I'd say probably the pay-per-view of the month for April.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed because the Undertaker-Michaels match was so great, but it was 4 hours of boring, usually sloppy crap. And this show, most of it was really good. I enjoyed myself a lot of the time, and it did fizzle out at the end with the ending of that War Games match into Sting and Foley, which was very disappointing. But aside from that, I had a lot of fun. What'd you think, Lawrence? It was your first TNA show.
It was my first TNA show, and Lethal Lockdown in particular was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that match. The main event was okay. I mean, it wasn't. I was expecting a little bit more.
You were expecting a lot better.
Yeah, I figured they do a lot more of the hardcore stuff. But when you have like a 3-hour show of cage matches and table matches, I guess it's difficult to do that. We know that both guys are limited. They may not have been able to work a typical match in the way we would like it in this day and age. However, new champion. I don't know how I feel about that. But they did send the crowd home happy in Philly with Foley and the Dudleys winning, and the Lashley thing was a huge surprise, and I think it's a much bigger story than people think. We were very shocked with that. Everybody was expecting to see Taz or whoever. When Lashley came out, I was really thinking about what it means for a guy who was a WWF guy in his prime, leaving them.
In the Donald Trump match at WrestleMania.
In the WrestleMania 23 match, Donald Trump, big star for them, their next big guy, left voluntarily pretty much, and was going to go into MMA, and then, I mean, I guess leaves MMA, or maybe he won't, maybe he'll do both, and he's at TNA, but the fact that, a guy who they looked at as a Randy Orton or a Kennedy,
he was going to be one of the big,
or Batista, one of these guys that they selected of the new guys to show up in TNA. I mean, maybe what, a year and a half since he left or so? That's a very big story, I think.
Yeah, and we were checking the internet on our little cell phone devices about they were portraying him on the pay-per-view in the commentary as Angle's friend or something. But man, first of all, it was a real genuine surprise. Yeah. And we don't get a lot of those often. And if we do, we were expecting maybe this Steve Corino or something stupid. But it ended up being not only just shocking, but cool, because wait a minute, this guy is just getting started with his MMA career, and he's doing well. He's won his last 2 fights. There was even rumor that he was going to appear on Ultimate Fighter and try out for that, but he takes his career seriously, we thought, so we don't know right now. There's a lot of questions.
This particular show, I have not been to a show in an arena that hasn't been a WWF show in quite some time, since I was at a WCW show, and I've been to ECW shows in the ECW arena, I've been to ECW shows in the Hammerstein, I've been to ECW shows in Asbury, all over. I've seen all sorts of wrestling in all sorts of venues, and it was interesting to me, being at a TNA show, looking at it from my perspective as being something produced in a TV studio. It never feels like a real wrestling show, because nothing, when you really go to a wrestling show, especially with the people you encounter, but also just the way a wrestling show is, there's nothing like going to a live event, whether it be a house show, okay, I gotta stop with the voice, or whatever, there's nothing like going to a live wrestling event. It's a lot of fun. If you've never been to a live show, if you're an internet fan, you gotta get out to see some wrestling in person. At this particular show, my point is that it wasn't a WWF show, and the crowd was really hot, and it was in a pretty big arena.
We were having fun.
It didn't feel like a TV studio produced lame cheeseball show, and it was produced well enough, and still did not make me feel like I was at a Raw or a WWF pay-per-view. I felt like I was in something different, and it clicked at the end of the night. Yeah, it was kind of a Philly ECW crowd with a lot of WCW guys there. There were times where the people were sitting on their hands, but it was a really hot crowd for the most part, and there was a lot of folks there. Obviously it wasn't sold out, but it was really fun to feel like I was part of something big in wrestling for the moment, in an arena that wasn't a WWF show.
Straight out of Compton.
Straight out of the Dominican Republic.
All right, we got Tim Conley here, Chris's cousin. This was your first wrestling show ever?
Ever.
Yeah, so what'd you think?
I love it. I mean, I've never been to a live show. I've watched WWE, WWF on TV all the time. Never got an up-close feel of the show. Big on the pyro stuff. It's just amazing. All the stunts and everything they did tonight, especially going to a match where every match was a cage match, which was just amazing. They make the matches good. Like, they can take guys that some people have never heard of. I mean, they have the big names on the card, but the small guy names, they make the fight actually interesting.
What do you think about Mick Foley as champion, though? Didn't seem too thrilled with that.
No, not thrilled at all.
Why not?
I mean, I don't see Mick Foley as a guy. I mean, he was a big name, like he was a big wrestler. He was a good wrestler. I think in his old age, he's out of shape. He's bottom heavy. I mean, he's about 280 pounds. I don't even think he's that. When they said that, I think he's about 320. I don't think he's the guy to be world champion.
But overall, you had a fun time.
Overall, great time.
Unlike TNA, we don't want to end on a little fizzle. We want to end on a happy note, and we do want to plug our show coming up next with Daisy Hayes talking about women in wrestling coming up this week. Definitely want to check that out. The last shows we just did with recapping WrestleMania 25 and the best and worst build-ups, I was very proud of that. I think the shows came across really well, and a lot of people enjoyed it and understood what we were trying to get across. Women in wrestling, we'll see how that goes. And we also have the funniest and least funniest moments coming up. We probably won't be doing this blog for another while because UFC is coming up 100 in July 11th. Booked my flight the other day. That's probably going to be the next blog. So this will tide you over until women in wrestling come up. So keep supporting the show. Go to WrestlingRoundtable.com and stay in touch.